Hi, welcome to Meg Chats Books. Today I'm going to do my weekly wrap-up. Last week I did not do a wrap-up because quite honestly I did not finish the book. In fact, I only picked up the book for a couple of moments. There's just so much going on last week with the end of school year kind of concerts and banquets and things like that. So this week I was able to finish 2 books. And the first book I finished was one that was on my TBR forever, and it was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And this is considered a mystery, but it is also very much a character study. The story, if you don't know, is about Max de Winter, who goes to Monte Carlo just shortly after his wife, Rebecca, has died. He meets a young woman whose name we never learn, who is working as a companion to a wealthy American woman. The wealthy American woman is not a very nice person. She's very crass. She's very overblown, kind of rude and obnoxious, and she falls ill, and so the young companion is befriended by Max de Winter. And eventually they get married and they go back to England, to Manderley, which is his estate, and there's kind of this ghost of his ex-wife whose name is Rebecca. One of the villains in this book is Miss Danvers, and Miss Danvers is probably one of the most well-written villains I've ever read. You really get into what it would be like to be around this woman, and she's scary and she's just terrifying actually, and really wreaks havoc with this young married woman's mind. We only know her after she gets married as Mrs. de Winter, and we never hear her first name. But you go through the story, and it's rather a long story, and Daphne du Maurier does a lot of repeating, especially about how this young woman feels and how she observes what other people's opinion is of her because she is not Rebecca. And even the dogs look for Rebecca when she walks in and figures out it's her, and they're not really impressed. Overall, I found the story very engaging. It was very good. She does gloss over some ethical issues that kind of will blow your mind, but it also shows you how the rich were very much almost above the law in some respects, and the acceptance of certain things that they did, especially men, were pretty much glossed over. So that's the only thing that I was like, oh my gosh. But it was written, I believe, in 1938, so there was kind of different thoughts at that time. Now, I read this is the book that I read. It's a Franklin Library book that I got a long time ago. It's a beautiful copy, but it was very heavy and not very easy to read. Now, I had another copy of Rebecca that I got at the library sale a long time ago, and it was a very old edition. The pages are yellowed, and so reading this book was a little difficult, but I overall enjoyed it very, very much. The next book that I read was another really great book, and it was Heft by Liz Moore. Last year I read The Unseen World by her. She has, in both stories, a world where you have parents and children relationships, and in this story you get the same thing. It is mostly about a man who is morbidly obese. He is pretty much living in his house and has things delivered to him for probably the last 10 years. He had a previous relationship with a woman, and you see her and her son in this book. The one thing I love about Liz Moore is that her characterizations are so thorough and so believable, and she also does a very good job with teenagers in showing that they are going into adulthood, but they're also very vulnerable in other ways, and that vulnerability does not go away when you do mature. So overall, this book to me was a 5. It was just really good. This book was written before Unseen World, and I believe she has one other one that I want to check out. But I've really become a fan of Liz Moore. I think she writes a wonderful story. The other thing I really love about her stories is she doesn't take the easy way out and give you this pat, I felt it coming ending. You get the story in a way that's probably more believable because it isn't so perfect. And I think that's her strength in both Unseen World and Heft. But if you liked Unseen World, you will love Heft. If you haven't read either, I recommend both books. They're both really, really good. So those are the 2 books I finished this week. What I'm reading now is actually an audiobook, and it's Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, and it's his autobiography about his life growing up in South Africa. He is a comedian, if you don't know, and he grew up during apartheid, and then when apartheid was abolished or stopped, and that transitioned into the society as it is now. He is half black and half white, so the reason the book is called Born a Crime is because it was a crime for a black person and a white person to even have sex, and also to have a child. And a child could be taken away from the parents if that was discovered. So he talks about that very rough childhood he had. I'm about a third of the way through it, and I'm really enjoying that one. And the other book that I'm going to start today is our Read Around the World Book Club book, and it's Chappy by Patricia Grace, and it takes place in New Zealand. It's about, I believe, a young man who goes back to New Zealand to kind of discover his roots. It might be not about that, but that's what I believe I read that it was about. So I'll be starting that this week as well. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you later. Goodbye.